So today's Noirvember film, it's actually a remake of a French film. The original French film was called Le Jour se levait, or in English, it was released, I believe, as Daybreak, um, directed by Marcel Carné from 1939, with a screenplay by Jacques Prévert. And this version by Anatole Litvak was called The Long Night and stars Henry Fonda and Barbara Bel Geddes in her screen debut, as well as Vincent Price and Dvorak. And has a beautiful score by Dmitri Tiomkin and was shot by Saul Polito, cinematographer. However, this version was released in 1947 in Hollywood, and so it is slightly cleaned up. So basically, in both films, it begins with a man falling down the stairs dead. In this version, he's discovered by a blind man who's also living in the same hotel, played by the one, the only Elisha Cook Jr. You find out that the man fell dead from the apartment of the person who lives up at the top of the stairs. In this case, this is Joe Adams, played by Henry Fonda. Henry Fonda has shot him dead. And you find out as the film progresses in a series of back flashes and flashbacks, and flashbacks within flashbacks, that the dead man is played by Vincent Price. He was a magician who got into the life of Henry Fonda after Henry Fonda fell in love with a woman also named Jo, who also turned out to be an orphan, and the two of them had grown up in the same orphanage. She's played by Barbara Bel Geddes, who is starting some sort of relationship with the Price character, whether it's just friends, or at one point the Price character tells Fonda that he's her long-lost father, but there's also like implications that they're having sex. It's a little gross. At the same time, Dvorak is the ex-partner of Vincent Price. She's tired of his shit and his predatory ways towards women. So Fonda tries to basically confront Price character, and he's so gross that even after he decides not to kill him, he ends up killing him out of anger. And then the rest of the film is sort of him dealing with the police trying to get him out of the apartment. So you get that whole story with Vincent Price cut through flashbacks, while at the same time the cops, I'm sorry, it's cold. The cops are trying to get him out, and with increasingly violent means. They like shoot up his apartment and all kinds of things that you would not do. Like, don't do this. And they won't even let Jo, Barbara Bel Geddes, go up and like try to talk him out. So spoilers for the French film that I haven't seen but I read about. Spoilers. In that version, the Jo character is played by Jean Gabin, and they are Francois and Francois, which is funny. And it is majorly implied, the incest, and two, the character like is so, oh god, I'm sorry, the character is so feels like there's just nothing for him to do, and so depressed by his situation that he kills himself. In this version, because we're in Hollywood, and even though this is a noir, this is sort of a slicker noir to Marqueo, instead of committing suicide, I'm just having the worst itchy face, I'm sorry. Instead of committing suicide, spoilers, he is going to go to jail, and she says she'll wait for him. And so you get that, like, it's less noir because only Vincent Price, the worst character, dies, and while it starts out with this overwhelming feel of dread, and the Fonda character feels very isolated, and so does the Barbara Bel Geddes character until they come together. As the film progresses, you realize that he has lots of friends, and that most of the people in this small town love him, and they don't want him to die. They want the police to stop shooting at him, and they want them to give him a chance to explain why he killed Vincent Price and to have a fair shake. And so it's not truly noir, I think, because the moral is that he had friends and that he had people who loved him, and that everyone understands why he killed Vincent Price, because he was playing a world-class creep. And so I think if the world-class creep had gotten away with it, or if the Fonda character in the original film actually killed himself in the end, we would have a bleak, true noir. And I feel like this film straddles the line and crosses over into just drama and away from noir, because it has such a relative happy ending. I really wish it had had a darker ending, but it's so beautifully shot. The cinematography is gorgeous. There are sequences of just lyrical beauty, and stark black and whites and beautiful shadows, and it's definitely a well-made film. Fonda is often in this era playing either the wrong man, including in The Wrong Man, or men who are so fraught with angst from the world that they, even though they're trying so hard to be a good man, he plays this role a lot, and watching his good man unravel is one of my favorite things in all of cinema. He's always so wonderful at unraveling and at becoming desperate, and falling into the circumstances that create men who cross lines and into breaking the law. And he's just such a good and weighty actor that watching his downfall is just really wonderful. And Dvorak here is just so good. She is one of my favorite actresses from pre-code days, and she's just so saucy and so. She's one of those tropes of the saucy actress or saucy performer that's trying to reform, but she's in too deep, so she can't ever really reform. So she's the whore character, and Geddes is the Madonna, and obviously the Madonna always gets the man and the whore doesn't. Except in this case, everyone dies and/or goes to jail, and Barbara Geddes has to wait for him, and Dvorak's character can go off and find someone better. So really, she gets the best ending, I think. And Barbara Geddes gives a great performance. She was signed to a 7-year contract with RKO after this film was released. She's so good, and there's this end scene where she's crying and saying she'll wait, and the tears on her face are so beautifully shot that I'm just like, dude, seeing that on the big screen, I could see why she would get a long contract, even if those contracts were horrible. So this is The Long Night. You can actually, I meant to grab this earlier. You can get it on DVD from Kino. There we go. And it's beautiful transfer on here, and definitely worth checking out. It's from 1947. This is Anatole Litvak's The Long Night.